Good afternoon and welcome to Football House once again. As we all know, Gambia is playing against Senegal in an international football friendly on 31st of March in Dakar. The head coach Jonathan Martins is here to unveil his 23 players that have been invited for the match. Afterwards, he will check some questions from the media. The press conference is going to go up to 12:30 and that's where we will go to coaching. So without wasting much time, coach, please, the floor is yours now.
Coming in your numbers, it's good to see everyone again. It's been a little while. Obviously, we're aware that people are quite enthusiastic and quite sort of excited around the Gambia for the upcoming game against our close neighbour Senegal. And for us, it's a very good game. Obviously, our commitment to try and engage the team in every FIFA window has been really paramount when we haven't had competitive games. And again, it's good that since I've arrived now almost 2 years, every window we've been engaged. So again, we had different options for this window. We looked at different things. We turned down some options. And ultimately, the central option when it came on was really something that was very obvious. And it met our requirements of a competitive game, because any game between Senegal and the Gambia, friendly or competition, will be highly competitive, but also it's high quality opposition. We always want to play the best quality opposition that's available, and we can't get a higher quality opposition at the moment in Senegal. So, yeah, it's a game that everyone's looking forward to. Players are excited about, the federation are looking forward to. A lot of preparation's already gone into it, and we're looking forward to what will be a very good camp for sure. So, in terms of the squad, we have listed 23 players, as has become somewhat standard recently. And those 23 players are goalkeepers, Babukar Gay, Sheikh Sibi, Ibrahim Georgiou. Defenders, Sheriff Sinyan, Omar Kali, Abubakar Sidi Kinte, Yaya Bojang, Alaji Singh, Tijan Sona, Saini Sanyang, and Joseph Cisse. The midfielders, Ibu Adams, Abubakar Bari, Jesper Cisse, Mamadou Drame. The forwards, Abdoulaye Mane, Abdoulaye Bamba Sanyang, Yusuf Sanyang, Salou Drame, Moussa Barrow, Yankuba Minte, Abdoulaye Cisse, and Adama Bojang. Okay. Just to touch on a couple of points, because there'll be a couple of names that some names you want to talk about, but a couple of names specifically that were unavailable for selection. Ali Federa, obviously we get him as much time as possible. I'm sure many are aware he suffered a fractured cheekbone a few weeks ago. There was a chance he might be available to play in a mask. Unfortunately, he's going to need another 1 or 2 weeks of non-contact, and the surgeons and the doctors have said, so we had to make the decision for him to stay at his club in Italy. And another one is Adama Sidibe, who's obviously done very well recently. Obviously, Adama's moved to a league with Stockport County, who do not take the international breaks. And we had a discussion with him. We had a discussion with the club, and ultimately they're pushing to get into the playoffs, and it was agreed with the player that he would remain with his club to play in his club fixtures over the next couple of weeks. So that's the reason for Aliou and Adama being missing from the list. So that's the 23. We believe it's a highly competitive squad. There's a few guys have been disappointed to miss out this time, but again, they know that the competition now for the Scorpions is so high that there's always 6, 7, 8 players who just narrowly miss out, but they know that they're in the picture, that they are close to selection, and that even though this time they might be a little bit disappointed, we expect in the next 1 or 2 camps that they may get their opportunity. So those are the 23. I'm open to questions if you have any.
Alright, can you introduce yourself and your media house?
Okay, my name is Jana from Star TV. Good. Yeah, very good playing. So you play against the current African champion. Yeah, that's Senegal. So what are we expecting? Because when you want to be the best, you must play the best. and solo with them. And the squad that you are, then you can run any type of team. So with this type of game approach, how are you going to see on that day? Or are you going to send a signal to the world that Gambian can also match with this game?
So I think for us, obviously it's a game that we have to we respect all football matches, but I think when you go to the home of a team such as Senegal, you know that it's a game that you're going to have to be at your very best, both defensively and offensively. I think what Gambia, at the very least, but the wider football community has come to know of teams that I coach is that we do want to be very positive defending, go and press the game, positive attacking, go and look to create good goal scoring chances, and as we showed in the last World Cup cycle, take those chances. So we're going to be very positive going into the game. Does that mean we're going to play 90 minutes of attacking football? I think going away to a team like Senegal, you would be naive to think that you're going to be on the front foot attacking for 90 minutes. There are going to be periods where Senegal are going to be on top of the game and we're going to have to defend very, very well. But equally, as you say, when you look at the players that we have on our list, when you look at the performances we've shown recently, there will also be periods in this game where Senegal are going to have to defend very well in order to prevent us from having success, if they will. I think you've seen that some of our best performances over the last year have come in the most demanding matches. You look at our away game against Tunisia, where we won and could have won by more goals than the single goal. The away game to the Ivory Coast, where their goalkeeper gets man of the match, and also the games against Gabon. So these are games that sometimes we came out on top, sometimes we didn't, but the performance was always one full of bravery in terms of how we wanted the ball, how we wanted to sort of take a grip of the game. And this is one we'll go into with the Gambia as well, or with Senegal as well. There's no sense that we're going to go there and park the bus. We're going to go and try and play football the way you've become accustomed to. And yeah, if we play to our best, we have more than enough to win this game. And I know that that's a big statement because it hasn't happened before at senior level. We're going to try and set new records, but look, I think over the last few years, both before my time and since I've come to the Gambia, the Scorpions have got used to setting some records. So let's see if we can set another one in Dakar in a couple of weeks' time.
Coach, Gambian TV. My question is in regards to the history between these two countries. We're neighbors and almost the same people. Food, everything, culturally connected. Does it make it a special game, or we see it as a different game? If you're playing Gabon or you're playing Morocco or you're playing
Look, I think when there's close footballing relationships and societal relationships, it always gives a different edge to the game. And there's the friendly, familial side to it, but even within a family, you want to do better than your big brother or little brother. You know, there's that familial rivalry. And I think that's the thing that we have here with Senegal. And look, there is no doubt, I don't think I'm saying anything out of place by saying that our Senegalese family members would see us as the little brother. That's definitely how they view it. But look, I'm the little brother in my family. I'm the youngest of four. And I can tell you that I'm always looking to win every competition with my older siblings. And so that's how we go into the game. When you step on the pitch, any football match is a battle. Any football match is a battle. We're going to have to go and play in that aggressive, intense style that we know. And look, it's a historic game in the sense that all old rivalries are. You know, whether it's England v Scotland, Brazil v Argentina, you know, Nigeria v Ghana, you know, Senegal and the Gambia, okay, we've not been competing for the same prizes at senior level over the years. But again, going back to the players we have now, we are in the best position we've probably been in a long time to go toe-to-toe with not just Senegal, but with the best nations in the world, and truly believe that we can take a result from the game. And so, yeah, look, it's a game. I also think the other side of it is it's well documented how long it's been since we've played a home game. And this is not a home game, but there's many players on this list who've never pulled that Gambia shirt on in front of their own family. And so many of our players, family members, will be in Dakar, in the stadium, for the first ever time watching their son play for the Scorpions. That makes it a special moment as well. And you know that our players they always give their best, but when you're playing in front of your mother, your father, your wife, your sister, your brother, your children, this gives you something more that maybe you didn't know you had. So yeah, we're looking forward to a good game.
Thank you, Coach. My name is Leslie Radio and TV. The defense has been a turning point when it comes to Gambian football. How confident are you in your defenders against Senegal?
We're very confident. I think overall, there's always things to fix and to move forward. I think, when we go back to the last competitive games in October, we were missing a couple of key defenders. Everyone's fit and healthy again this time. In defense, we had to disappoint a couple of people and leaving them out because everyone was fit and healthy and largely playing good minutes. And so again, we've got good senior experience there in the likes of Omar Collins, Sheriff Sinian, but you've got real talent in the likes of Stevie Kinte, Alaji Sane, I could go on saying Sanyang's doing really well. So we've got a good mix of talent. All of them are talented, but we've got a good mix of young talent as well as the experienced leadership there. So yeah, we're quite confident. And look, but it's not just about the 3 or 4 guys in the defensive line. It's about everybody. Because if one of our forwards doesn't press correctly, it means an opposition defender is able to play maybe a dangerous pass that isolates one of our defenders. So sometimes when you watch it back on TV, it's easy to say, oh, that defender in that 1v1 situation. But why is he in that situation? It's maybe because something didn't happen correctly further up the pitch. So it's not just about the guys who are listed as defenders for their position. When we don't have the ball, everybody's a defender. And so it's about making sure those moments are done correctly. And over the last year, we've got better and better and better at it.
For a long period of time, we just saw the return in fitness. How is this aspect?
Yeah, so I was actually out in Saudi Arabia with our various players a couple of weeks ago. So when I was up with Altawun and with Musa directly. So Musa's in full training now. So he's went through his program. You've got to remember that when people aren't playing for the team, you don't really see a lot of them anyway. That's just it. You guys see maybe 5% of what happens in training at all clubs, in the little highlights you see. So when a player's recovering, you don't see him. That's natural. And yeah, he's been back in training. The last probably 10 days, he's been in full contact training. I actually was speaking to him. We speak quite regularly to get updates on his progress. He's feeling really strong. He's feeling really fit. And yeah, he's now at the stage, look, is he ready to play 90 minutes of football? No. I don't think I'll fool anybody to say it's unlikely that he will play 90 minutes of football against Senegal. Is he in a position where he's able to play a half, to play 30 minutes? Absolutely. That's where his physical conditioning's at. Injury-wise, he's completely free, he's completely recovered, and then he's in that stage, full team training, getting back, and he's at the point now where he's ready to be considered for match involvement. And that just so happens to fall right when we're coming together. So it was a decision for us to take. We took that decision based on 2 things. One, if we need a goal in the last 10 or 15 minutes against Senegal, there's not many players in world football you would rather bring off the bench to help you do that than Moussa Barrow. And secondly, 2026 is an important year for us. We're going into a really important African Cup of Nations qualifying series in the back end of the year, and we want to start the year with all of our big players, our big personalities together in camp, because there's a few things, bigger picture, we're going to be doing in camp as well. And so it was important that he also be involved in that. And he's really eager to be there.
All right, a follow-up question to that. I'm just thinking when you were speaking. Usually in this kind of situations, clubs tend to be a bit restrictive, having one of their key players coming from a lengthy injury. And I'm not sure if they started playing for this club. I think for this club yet.
What has been the response of this club when it's invited to come and play for the Gambia after a long period of injury? Often we have seen clubs, temporarily players, especially coming from injury, that have not yet played, and then maybe invited to the national team.
Yeah, no, in terms of that, you're absolutely right, and the club have been fine, so they accepted, they received the invitation and no objections to it, and that, I think, shows you where he is. Had he been at a point, look, even the discussions I mentioned Ali Fadera before, we've had ongoing discussions with him and with his club Sassuolo as well, in terms of getting updates on the medical side, and definitely on that side, we wanted to give him as much chance possible, because again, a very good player for us, and someone we would want to have involved if possible. But ultimately, the sharing of information it's not going to be good for the player. And so in that sense, in that moment with Ali, we made the decision to say, okay, you're not going to come because it would not be good for you. But with Musa, everything, the medical side, the fitness side, it's not going to be an issue at all. So yeah, there's been no problem with that.
The second question comes the second question,
Please, why don't you give chance to others also?
let me finish my questions.
So if you have, let
me finish. And what I'm asking is also for the interest of everybody. Let me just ask the question. Let me just the questions.
That will be your last question.
Okay, coach. You talked about the competitive in making the squad. There are some few names, some Gambians. We want to know maybe why they are not in, or what is being made to get them to the squad. And one name that pops up is, of course, Omar Jane. He represents the World Youth level. We don't know whether there is any contact with him to get him to play for the national team. And if there are other players also that you have approached to come and play for the national team, we will also be interested to know. The other question is, this has been, the press conference is coming, a few hours after CAF split Senegal, after the Cup of Nations. And we are made to understand that this has been, one, has been organized primarily by the Senegalese Football Federation as part of preparations, of course, for the Summer World Cup, and also an opportunity to present the trophy for their home fans at the rivalry stadium. Now that this thing has happened a few hours before this press conference, what is your reaction to this, and how do you think this might impact this game? And I don't know whether you'll be right passing answer this question, whether it wouldn't, there's concern as to whether this is going to affect the whether it concept or
Yeah. So I'll answer your second one first. Obviously, the news coming out of CAF is obviously quite shocking for everybody. Look, for me, the whole situation is not a great situation for African football. I'm a very proud, promoter of African football everywhere I go, and I've been for a very long time, so it's not a nice situation. But again, I'm not privy to what information these decisions have been made based on. I watched the tournament the same as you did, and we just have to see. I don't think it's the end of that story. We can see all the reports in the media, so we'll just have to see how it plays out. That's on that. So it's just a disappointing moment for African football. In terms of the player you asked about specifically, we've had some really good conversations with Omar Jane. He's actually a really intelligent, really nice kid. I think it's important also to put it in context. You referred to he's played for Spain. He is Spanish. He's born in Spain. He's Spanish, with Gambian heritage, Gambian parents. So he is Spanish and he has a heritage in the Gambia. So we've had some really good conversations with Omar, with the people who look after him. He's obviously had a really good breakout season since he's moved to Switzerland. He's showing the talent that we knew he had, that he's shown in the Spanish level. At the moment, he wants to focus on establishing himself as a professional. Because remember, these games in Switzerland are his first games as a professional. Prior, he only played youth games. And so he wants to establish himself as a professional. And potentially play for the Spanish under-21 side if that opportunity comes forward. We keep those communications going. I'll actually be meeting him in person in due course in Switzerland. We've spoken on video calls and chats so far. We're going to meet in person with his representative soon. But again, there's no pressure on that situation. He's a young man who's very talented. He's fully aware of what the Gambia have been doing recently. So he's been watching games. So, and when there's updates for him and for anyone, we obviously bring you up to speed on that. There's lots of conversations going on. There's some, and I've mentioned this before, there's conversations where the players say, thanks for your interest, but no thanks. And there's other conversations where they say yes, and we bring them in. And there's some that say, we want to wait. And that especially happens with young players. Young players don't necessarily want to jump in straight away. So those conversations ongoing, we keep working to try and improve what is possible for the Gambia. And I think we're doing okay so far.
Going to be at a higher level than it is inside. And you've got to remember, the average age of an international football team is around 28 years old. The average age of our national team is about 24, so we're already a very young group.
To call up close to 18-year-olds, 19-year-olds isn't going to help us win football matches in the short term. So, that's really the reason. It's about who is the highest quality. No place is given up.
It's always important for teams to have some of their best players in front. One player who's been playing week in, week out, and I'm very well doing the US Champions League for his team, didn't finish up well. It's Yusuf assignment. How important is his addition to the squad?
Yeah, look, Yusuf is another young player. He's one of the youngest players in the squad. We've obviously had him involved for quite a while now. He's missed out in the last few squads at the back end of last year because he was not playing. Obviously, he broke into the Slavia team in November, right around the time we played Kuwait, and he's had good involvement since then. He's not started every match, but he's had good games where he's been starting, some coming off the bench and having an impact. I was in Prague as well a few weeks ago to watch their game, and he came on in the second half of that game, did very well. So, yeah, we're pleased with Yusuf's development. Like, you've got to remember, again, he's a young player. This is not a player who is 26, 27, who has huge amounts of experience. He's young, he's talented, he's going to still make mistakes as we go ahead, so we've got to support that development. And yeah, he's playing well at the moment, he's getting good minutes, and so he deserves his opportunity to come into the team, given the level he's playing at as well.
Yeah, coach, many of these players are coming from different clubs and countries. Some of them did better trying to come in the national team. So how will you going to build cohesion quickly in this squad?
Well, actually, there's only one player coming for the first time. So only Salih Drame is making his debut. Everybody else has played before. So actually, what we've done with this squad is make it very consistent. So the majority of these players have been in multiple squads over the last 18 months. So actually, what you're talking about, familiarity, look, it's always a challenge in international football because you only have 4 or 5 days to get them back into the scorpion rhythm, if you will. And so that's always a challenge for all national teams. But for us, in some camps in the past, we've had a lot of debutants. In some camps, we've had as many as 6 or 7 debutants. In this camp, there's only 1. And part of that was because, look, this is going to be a really difficult game, and we need to be at our best. And so, yeah, having less changes was part of the decision making. So only 1 player in the squad.
Can you still have 5 minutes? Okay. When will the players come in? Will they have training camp here or will they travel to Senegal and play?
Obviously, our general manager, Usman Drame, is taking care of all those arrangements. I know he's right in the middle of it. After he's been given this squad on Monday evening, he got given this. He's been doing all of the flight arrangements. My understanding is we'll go directly to Qatar. Obviously, at the moment, we wouldn't have a
grass field here in the Gambia at the level that we would want to train the national team on for 3 or 4 days. That will change in the coming months, we're very sure. But at the moment, we want the best quality facilities, and those are found in Dakar at this point.
Gambian had a different form of Brighton not long ago, but came back into the squad, started and even scored yesterday, though made this kind of goal as a fluke against Sunderland. How important is it for the team coming back?
Yeah, I was quite fortunate. I was at the Arsenal game as well when he got back into the team in the second half. He'd obviously been out for, I think it was 3 games back to back. He didn't get in. And you got to remember, he also had a little bit of an injury at the start of January, so that had an impact. He dropped out of the team. Brighton started winning a few games, and you know, coaches, we don't like to change your winning formula sometimes. So when the team start winning and you're out of the team, it's a little bit more difficult to get back in. But his performance in the second half against Arsenal at home, and again, I appreciate I have Brighton, or I have Gambia tinted glasses on when I watch my players, but I genuinely thought he was the most dangerous player in the second half of that Arsenal game. And speaking to him after the game, I said my expectation based on that performance would be that he would start the next game. And that did happen. He started against Sunderland and had a good game. And beyond the goal, he had other opportunities in the game that maybe if someone played the pass to him, he would have scored, or other situations. So, but look, that's what we've come to expect again. You've got to remember, up until Christmas time, Vancouver had one of the highest number of touches in the opposition penalty area in all of Europe. So his ability to get in there and create interesting and dangerous situations for his team wasn't just good by English standards, it was good all across Europe. And so him coming back into the team and doing what he's done in the last 2 weeks is no surprise. But again, another incredibly young player, he's only 21 years of age, and there's going to be ups and downs. Nobody is playing week in, week out all the time in their career. So actually for me, it's probably been good for him, because you've got to learn, hey, I'm out of the team, how do I get back into the team? That's another learning curve that all young players have got to go through. So he'll have an impact on the game, I'm sure.
Final question?
Okay, since there's no one to ask.
Yes, go ahead.
I can go now. Coach, you talk about evidence. One new addition to the squad. During starting.
PTA might do the same thing.
It was influence of the team, especially in the forward line, that is full of attacking talents at your disposal, including the ones you have invited and the ones who will come. And finally, how excited are you as a coach, knowing that you will be facing Senegal, I'm not sure if I should refer them as the African champions. I'll be very careful with this. Yesterday when I was scripting overnight, I was, what should I do? African champions, but they are African champions. How excited are you as a coach to be leading the Scorpions against Senegal at their home ground?
Yeah, so first of all, Salu, another really exciting young player. He's someone we've been tracking for quite some time. Obviously, he got to move just over maybe 12, 13 months ago to Liverpool, who are a big club in Norway, but had surprisingly been relegated to the second tier. And then last season, he had such a great season. I think it was 10 goals and 10 assists. And I remember actually meeting him during their training camp as they were preparing for the cup final. They were about to go to the cup final, but even the mindset, they'd already won promotion. And his mindset, after having scored 10 goals, got 10 assists, won the league and got promoted back to the top division, his mindset was, it's been an okay season. I wouldn't say it's been a great season. Now, most people would say on the basis of those numbers and the outcome that it was a great season. And I remember after they won the cup and qualified for Europe, I sent him a message and said, I think we can agree it's been a great season. And he laughed and said, okay, we can agree. But I love that mindset in terms of he's never happy, he's never satisfied, he wants more. And the best players, both in our squad and around the world, have that mindset of they're never satisfied. And so, really technical player, can play right or left wing, is very much two-footed. really good dribbler of the ball. You know, some of our players are really good at using their speed to go in behind. Other ones like coming off and playing the passes and combinations. Salyu's one of those players, if you look at some of his clips, he's very good at jinking in and out between players. He's quite a small frame, low center of gravity. So his dribbling ability at high speed is really, really nice. And he as showed last season with 10 goals, he can get on the goal scoring charts as well. So we're really excited to bring him in, but at the same time, he knows the competition because in the wide attacking positions, is probably our most competitive position. So let's see, he's coming into the squad, but he's got a process to make himself a regular. And yeah, look, Senegal's a big game. It's my second time playing against them as a coach. I played against them as Rwanda coach in Kigali 10 or 11 years ago now, a long time ago. Funny thing is, Sadio Mane was playing that day as well, so it shows you how long he's been involved. And yeah, look, it's a game. Even when I was out in Saudi, I had the opportunity to chat with Koulibaly about the game after Tawun played Hilal. And again, Senegal are looking forward to the game. We're looking forward to the game. We always want to test ourselves against the best in the world. And it shows us where we are. It shows us where we are and shows us what we still have to do. So I think for us, we're confident going into the game. We know it's going to be a huge amount of hard work. We're confident. And I think Gambian supporters should go with confidence as well.
Unless you have any final thoughts.
Yeah, I think just one message for, I know this is a big game, I know tickets have been selling, you know, at various points already. What I would say is, for the Gambian fans already in Senegal who live there, and the Gambian fans who want to make that journey and to go across and support us, myself, the players, the staff, we really would all love to have as many Gambian fans in the stadium as possible, because the players and everybody are so eager to play in front of the Gambian fans again. And so to go there and look, I'm not saying it's going to be easy. We're going to have to play at our very best, but I also think it's possible for us to have a real special moment in Dakar. And I wouldn't want to miss that if I was a supporter. So let's come in your thousands, hopefully, and support the guys in a couple of weeks.
Thank you. And thank you guys for coming.
Thank you.